今天您将收看的是
以色列国宝级剧作家汉诺赫·列文创作的话剧《孩子梦》，由真实事件改编，将绝望的真实以一首寻觅与救赎的长诗娓娓道来。
大家好，观众朋友们，您现在看到的是今晚我们观剧。在第21届上海国际艺术节上，以色列编剧大师汉诺赫·列文的名作《孩子梦》引起了大家的关注。那在今天的节目当中呢，我们一起来看一看《孩子梦》的文本亮点以及它的舞台呈现。
作为第21届中国上海国际艺术节参演剧目，由北马其顿共和国的比托拉国家剧院演出的话剧《孩子梦》在上汽上海文化广场上演。这是以色列国宝级剧作家汉诺赫·列文继《安魂曲》之后另一部强大又震撼的作品，被誉为以色列舞台上最具有诗意的作品之一。年轻的以色列新锐导演伊泰·德容以丰富的想象再现了这首苦难与救赎的长诗。
I would say it's simple, and then I will say a story about this. Very simply, it's about a child that is dreaming. This is because there is so much in the play, but if you put it in the framework of a dream, it is just a dream. And who is the dreamer? The child. Who is the child? Maybe this child. Maybe we are watching, and this is what we did, the two children, one old child, one young child. And we see the dream through the small child with the camera. We are observing the child, observing his dream. And who are we observing the child, observing the dream? Where is this child? So it is about a child that is dreaming a dream. And this is the dream. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes not. And it's a beautiful dream.
孩子梦写于1986年，是列文以圣路易斯号事件为历史背景创作而成。孩子梦分成4个部分：父亲、母亲、孩子、弥赛亚。他讲述了一个孩子和他母亲逃往遥远又未知的路途的故事。孩子死了，但死去的孩子仍坚持着救赎和复活的信念。
I think all of Levin's works is really, really powerful still. Some of it are more grown from the Israeli and Jewish society, but some of them, especially in the end, the last period of his work, when he was diagnosed in cancer, was much more universal. He adapted stories by Chekhov to Requiem that just now had a Chinese production, a beautiful piece. And the child dreams, I feel, is right in the middle of this, going from still the society, the political issues, but already making the transition towards the universal, towards the poetic. And when we asked ourselves, what are we going to do? In Bitola, it was 2016, and it was just the refugee crisis in Europe. And Bitola closed the borders because Bitola is, Macedonia, closed the border between Greece and the rest of Europe. It was a decision made out of the Balkan countries. And of course, the Syrian and the Middle Eastern refugee tried to cross, and there was police violence. There was, of course, human trafficking and also slavery. So it was very intense time. And also we saw the images with the orange life jackets. And all of a sudden, this child dreams display felt so immediate, felt so crucial, but at the same time, it feels completely universal. So we went to this material because of the political situation and the real life and the newspaper. But once we dive in, it was totally about the dream and about the human soul, like dealing with this reality.
Щом детето заспи, тогаш љубено бескрено е. С така ранливо отворени усти не подсетува, вака ќе изгледа кога ќе умре. А само миг предходно му бевме налутени за вревата и брборението. Миг подоцна, скоро да заплакавме од копнеш за тој милозвучен звук, a dete što spokojno spije потонато во себе си.
Да се отпреме сега кога најрадосни сме. Зашто од ова подобро не може да биде? Нека тројцата ние станеме мртва природа среќа што блика. Родители што бдеат над детето да бидеме слика.
Yes, like I said, when you first encounter the play, it feels, like you said, really the situation, the refugee, the political imagery that we get from the newspaper. There is a moment in the play when the governor of the island that does not let the refugee in says that in these days we get the real tragedies, the dead bodies, not in the newspaper, but really in front of our eyes. They are really there. And I think now we are in a time that really you feel it so alive, all around you. But yes, theater is not for say, okay, this is very bad, what is happening with the refugee, it's terrible. Okay, this everybody can say, everybody can feel. It's almost, for me, it's not enough. You have to, in the end of the day, you sit in the theater with another foreigners people, a lot of people, you see something. So it's not the message that they want to convey, but it is a possibility to experience something, to go through a journey. And maybe, I don't know, to get out of this journey, something inside the structure can a little bit change. This is a very big request for an artist, but conveying a message about, let's say, refugee, yes, of course it's terrible, but we really try to go beyond that point of saying it's terrible. It's how am I connected to this reality? How is the reality outside and the reality inside of me can meet? And maybe, I'm really careful with this, but maybe it can affect the action you make and the decision you make in life.
Посакувам да бев сирова овча. Тогаш даде му рекол на сиот свет, кишто би вечинело да бидам кума. Би поддржило секому се да му се даде, ништо не би било на моја сметка. Но ќе речам не, овчар јас не сум. Јас сум гувернерот на островот. Некој сака да си ги менуваме местата.
Како да ви го опишам мој страх од смртта? С која мишка да ви го представам? Како да ви го опишам тој страх од смртта на секој ден човек тука? Како?
Здравото домирање. Здравото. Кој за тој страх не знае? Ќе се молиме за вас.
So the movie tickled Levin to write this, but he wrote for the theater. The Child Dreams is a very theatrical piece of literature. So it is not made to be a cinema, even though this film, this British film, which is not a big, he saw it and something, I think, tickled him to start his own journey talking about this historical event, about the St. Louis ship. And also there, he started to write. The first draft was about the St. Louis ship, very historical piece about the Holocaust. I read the first draft. And then slowly, gradually, he peeled off any historical remarks or anything. He went straight to the core of what make people act, what make people move. So I would say that Levin was in love with theater. So this is the first thing to say. But in our show there is a lot of cinematic use of video and cinematic moments, and it for a lot of reasons. One of them is actually a reference to this British movie, which is using the Love Boat. It's also an American TV series. That trying to take the Capitan, that was the hero of the movie, the British movie, and the St. Louis ship was in white clothes, you know, it was a big ship, like the Titanic, like really bourgeois, high class. And now you see the refugees, the opposite, really rubber boats with the orange life jackets, and the Capitan is probably one making money to bring him to Lesbos from Turkey. So it's much more poor, and we wanted to present both of them on stage. So we played with it a lot.
So, dear ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. See you tomorrow at the same time, at the same place, at the same theater, for the most famous show in the world, the Love Boat!
When you're working on any piece of literature, the process to bring it for life, it's already so much full of choices. Literature is an infinite possibilities. In the theater, if you are talented, you can remain some possibilities, but they are narrowed down. So this process demands you to have some vision. So of course I had, and this I cannot talk about, I can just show it on the stage. Talking about it feels poor and not rich as the show itself. This is what I feel. But for the other part, about the actors, what we try to achieve is that the actors will create themselves something. So we didn't do the original, the traditional thing, sitting in the table, reading the text, you are this character, you are that. We took the piece of literature, we took the play, yes, the words on the paper, yes, and we started to look, yes. And we said, how do we bring this to life, this thing? Without roles, without putting parts. Start to improvise, not even saying the words yet. Don't learn the text. Just start to feel the images, the situation. And gradually, they came and put their own, let's say, intuition into it. And we started hearing stories about the refugees in Macedonia, how they've been refugees in 1949, and how they accepted refugees from Kosovo in 2000. And let's not talk even about the war of Yugoslavia in 95. There is so much there. And now in 2015-16, the refugee human flow from the Middle East. So they've been throughout every position possible. They were the governor and the mother and the commander. They were everything in the history, in the roots. So at one moment I realized that all of the answers are here in the room. I don't need even to do so much, just to put it in the right place.
整个演出的现场充满创意，这是一个有水的舞台，当船出现在其中，恍如真的在海上漂泊。演出中，有小提琴手倒在了剧场，作为旁观者的孩子手持摄像机，把自己即兴创作的画面投射在幕布上的视频。画面是笨拙而粗糙的，而视角却来自于纯真的孩子。幕间转场的时候，邀请观众上台的环节出现，如同电视真人秀的形式，现场的氛围显得十分轻松。这在很大程度上是为了加强梦境与现实生活的连接。
About the stage, we try to create a landscape, a natural landscape inside the theater. And the first thing that we know that we wanted is to have water on the stage, or to have the ocean, the feeling of the ocean, of the depth of the ocean, of this graveyard that the ocean is these days. We want also the meeting point between the shore, the beach, and the water and the ocean. Like this point of the conscious and the unconscious, which is, let's say, touching each other, going a little bit and going back. Really, this border point is very interesting for us. It represents a lot in the world of dreams, in the world of the psyche. Carl Gustav Jung uses a lot the metaphor of ocean, but also in, say, in Taoism, there is a lot with the water and how they move and how they reflect light. And it makes something, I think, in the audience melt them also inside. Like puts them in the position a little bit, make them more liquid, so they are not so stiff, because when you see water there is something to put you like this. So this was the main element, and we knew that everything should come from it and to it. And it is always there.
Готово е! Започва възкресението! Ще се отвори небото! Всичката се скине, готово е! Ова е како во филм, геројот паѓа на подот и кога мисли дека се е завршено, тогаш, во последниот миг,
изпари пред да се предомисли.
Зошто бегаш од вистината? Месио!
Месио!
Месио! Зошто од вистината бегаш? Месио!
Зошто бегаш од вистината?
Месио! Зошто од вистината бегаш? Месио! Зошто од вистината бегаш?
Ама повторно ти.
So many, the whole play, but there is a part of the poetry, the choices themselves. So, like the Messiah selling the Swiss watches. For me it's poetic because it has irony, it opens up something. And also the decision to have a 7-year-old child that speaks poetry. It's already poetic, the disposition. And of course the words themselves are so full of life, of juice. Everything about them. To start off in the most simple way, that we all, even if you don't know it because you are not a parent, you know it under your skin. The father and the mother looking at the child dreaming, sleeping, and they are just amazed by this wonder, by this sleeping sculpture of beauty. And the mother is saying, שיעצור הזמן עכשיו, let time stop now, בשיא האושר, in the peak of joy. יותר טוב מזה כבר לא יהיה, because it cannot get any better than this. Parents looking at the dreaming child, before he said, let us become like a still life painting. בוא נהפוך לטבע דומם. הורים מסתכלים על ילד חולם. Parents looking at the dreaming child. There is so much already there to have the want to stop time, the desire to let time stop now, like wanting to be in a black hole when time stops, because freeze. It will. This is it. From here, it can only get. I don't know. He will grow up, and something much worse happen. But this moment that you want really time, stop. And how it connects with the Messiah selling the Swiss watches. So this connection for me is the real poetry, not the rhythm. He also knows how to have beautiful rhythm and beautiful words, but the real poetry are the connections between the images.
和列文的其他作品一样，《孩子梦》也带有其强烈的个人特征，诗意、残酷与死亡紧紧相连。《孩子梦》里有对生存的挣扎，对救赎的期盼，一切都在美丽的诗歌中倾涌而出。
His early plays are full of, let's say, anger and wish to tackle, and his later work is tackling also, but towards death and less towards the society. And I think that I don't think anything, I feel that death defined his writing. It's a bit Schopenhaueric to say, but death really made his art alive. because of course we know this. It's a very basic rule in philosophy. To think about life, you have to consider death in a way. It's how you think about death that defines your life. And Levin's thought about death was full of images, full of despair, full of feeling of missing out. And I think this is the most, if there is one thing that Levin is really touching always, is this feeling of missing out. That you will get to the death and you felt like I didn't live. And if you want to arouse something sometimes in the audience is, life is really, it's happening now. And theater can really, because we are all breathing the same air. So this is why Hanoch Levin and the theater is for me a perfect match. Because it's really, we are all, with the actors, the audience, the technical team, we are all here, now. Still alive. And the man that is dead, he will wake up. He will applaud, there he will be, everything is okay. We are still alive, we still have a chance.
好，以上就是今天节目的全部内容，非常感谢各位的收看。